Today's topic for Party Chat is Megaman Battle Network Legacy Collection. And that's right, just one topic because this is a special episode of Party Chat. And we're going to reminisce a little bit about the series and talk about this Legacy Collection. And what's really cool is today we are joined by the infamous, the Megaman stan that I just found out, the man himself, and that is Toonrami. What is up, my dude? Welcome.
What's up, man? Yeah, dude, Megaman Battle Network has been my favorite franchise since I can remember. And the fact that they're finally bringing this series to the Switch, it's everything that I've wanted. This past year and a half of gaming has just been an absolute W for me. Sora and Smash, and now Megaman Battle Network coming back to the forefront, dude. I love it. I love it.
It's exactly, bro. It's exactly that. It's been a crazy year and a bunch of surprises, and this, by far, one of the craziest surprises, because I know a lot of us have been like waiting for this, and dude, what a dream, what a dream. But I had to ask, Toon, I gotta ask, where does your love of Mega Man start? Like, were you back from Classic? Was it X? Was it the Battle Network series? I mean, there's, I think, even more than that, but just curious, where did you start with Mega Man?
Well, honestly, with any game, I'm usually pretty slow on the uptick. It'll usually have been well established that the game was phenomenal. So I saw my friend playing this, and he was just playing a throwback retro game, and I was like, wait, what game is this? I've never seen this before. It looks like a platformer. And he was like, oh yeah, this is Mega Man X. And I was like, dude, this looks awesome. You can wave dash, you can use charge blast. Like, this stuff looks pretty cool. This is like Mario platforming, except cooler. So that's kind of where my fascination for Mega Man started, with Mega Man X. And then he introduced me to the Mega Man Battle Network series because he knows that I'm a fan of RPGs. So combining the aesthetic of, you know, the Mega Man character in the franchise along with RPG elements made me just fall in love with Mega Man completely. So that's sort of my entry point. It was Mega Man X, and then the first game that I ever played for Battle Network was Battle Network 3. And that's, ever since then, it's just been smooth sailing.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, for me, Toon, I actually started with the Battle Network series. For some reason, man, I just never got into like X or like the classics. Like, I've seen them, just never got into them. But I'm a big RPG guy, and we talked a little bit behind the scenes here. But like, I'm a big RPG guy. So when I saw they're doing some type of like chip collection thing, it gave me Pokemon vibes.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, listen, as a kid, right? And we're kids too, right? So like back then, I saw something like that, and I was like, oh, I gotta play it. And that is pretty much what got me into the Mega Man, which was the Battle Network games. I started from 1 all the way up. Plus, dude, it was Game Boy days. Like, who didn't? Like, this was like I feel like one of the big games that were on Game Boy, in my opinion, at least, from back in the day. So cool. So, Toon, your initial reaction when you saw the news of the announcement of Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is a thing. It's happening. It's literally, what, like 10 games from the mainline series in a collection. When you saw that, like, what were your thoughts that it's coming to modern day consoles?
Yeah, my gut instinct reaction when I saw that, I freaked out. I had no idea. One of my friends told me to watch the most recent Nintendo Direct because I usually watch and react to those things. I had no idea that Mega Man was being announced because I just thought, you know what? If they haven't announced it after all this time, they're probably not going to do something like this because this is just such a very niche franchise. But when they announced it's just being a simple remaster, that's all that I needed. I know that there's probably going to be some people out there who maybe want a little bit more. I think this is a great starting point because it allows a whole new generation to get exposed to this franchise, to see, you know, what made this franchise so beloved by a lot of other people. So just the fact that they're bringing it now to the Switch is all that I've ever wanted. You know, if they ever do anything more in the future, that's great. But just the fact that now more people get to experience the franchise that I love so much, I was just over the moon. I think I lost my voice screaming over this.
No, I'm the same way. And the crazy part was, like, I always try to imagine, like, where would we see this at? Like, if this was ever going to happen. And so, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, like, I feel like, right, the fact that this was like a big Game Boy Advance thing. So, like, I imagine it would be at a Nintendo showcase or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is. That's exactly where that got shown off at, was at the recent Nintendo Direct Mini showcase, which, not going to lie, Toon, Nintendo Direct Minis, I automatically assume, okay, I'm not expecting anything crazy. You know, maybe a cool little thing here and there.
Exactly.
This is one of those things, too, bro. I'm like you. I screamed. I was like, bro, it caught me off guard. I was like, this is the last thing I expected Nintendo to just drop in a Direct Mini. It was probably the craziest thing ever for me. I had the same thing. I was screaming. I was so happy. I went to Twitter and all caps, like, oh my God, like, this is happening. This is for, and it's like, this has been a thing that we've been waiting, like you said, like, for a long time. Didn't know how it was ever going to happen, whether it just be like, maybe it's more of like a remake or a remaster, how they're going to do it, just port the first game. If the first game did well, maybe they'll do the rest. But like, I was shocked when I saw they're like, nah, we're bringing like the entire mainline games, like all 10 of them, all together in a nice little bundle package. So like, dude, sick. I was so freaking excited for that.
I don't know about you, but
Definitely the way to do it.
I sort of skipped the Wii U generation, and apparently during the Wii U glory days, the Mega Man Battle Network, I don't know which version of it, was in the Wii U shop. So you could actually play Mega Man Battle Network on that. And for the longest time, I was actually contemplating finding a Wii U and just simply picking it up just so I could buy that before the entire service like shut down. I think it shut down. But yeah, that was the last real moment that Mega Man Battle Network had any sort of relevancy. So after that, and after the failure of the Wii U, I kind of wasn't expecting them to do this anytime soon, because it was sort of associated with the Wii U and the fallout of the Wii U. So yeah, I still remember during the mini direct, it was just the most random thing. They're going over Bomberman. They have a nice long drawn out Bomberman sequence, and then suddenly there's no lead in, there's no teaser, nothing. 10 Mega Man games, and I'm just like, what? 10 Mega Man games are coming to the Switch.
They were like, here's a bunch of classic games coming back. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, let's go ahead and see, like, what was it? Like the one Star Wars game that they announced that was coming back that was so old. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to see something like that. Out of nowhere, boom, the Mega Man Battle Network collection, Legacy Collection. So, again, super dope. So one more question before we dive into like a little bit of like what exactly is the Mega Man Battle Network games. But real quick, do you have a favorite like memory of a moment, a game, a character, or again, in this case, like a chip or anything from any of the Mega Man Battle Network games? Just curious, any fond memories of this game?
Yes, I'm really hoping that you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do. You're a real one too. Mega Man Battle Network 3. After I input the last set of bug frags on that final secret net area, where as you're leaving, you fight Bass, like the ultimate version of Bass. That was probably the most hype moment I've ever experienced in any Mega Man game, because I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea who I was about to fight. I didn't know why the little vending machine thing was growling at me. That moment in Battle Network 3 might be my favorite, like most cherished Mega Man memory of all time. I lost so many times. It was the most frustrating thing, but the whole thrill of the entire experience was so much fun. I ultimately beat him with the most broken program advance in the game. That bodyguard program advance where you just keep hitting him for like 20,000 shurikens. Yeah, it was the best. It was the best time. But that I think that's my favorite moment. What about you?
So, Toon, I don't know about you, but like as a kid, right? When I found that you can literally just jack into anything, because almost everything had like a jacking port in that game.
Oh yeah.
I think my biggest memory, dude, was going to just every little thing and spamming the R button, like the right bumper button. Yeah, just to see if I could jack into something, bro. I literally would do that to like every little thing that I saw. Like I saw like a doll, no, like a water bottle. Let me try that. No, like dude, everything. I literally tried everything. I think that was probably like my favorite thing to ever do as a kid when I was playing those games, because it was like anything had a port. Like again, this game took place in like the future where like it was just everything was like, connected to the internet and everything. So yeah, that had to be like my favorite thing I think I did in almost all the games, because that is just what you do.
Remember the doghouse? The fact that you could jack into the doghouse?
Yes. What was that? Bro, exactly. Yeah, I remember just going to doghouse. Like, man, if you can go into the doghouse, you can go into anywhere. Like anything. Yeah. Like, this is fine, bro. You were in like chalkboards, bro. You were jacking into chalkboards. I was like, bro, it literally goes into anything. Like that was the beauty of this game. But cool, sick. With that, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. I'm going to give a little bit of like a little bit of history just for people who are watching and are like, well, what the hell is Mega Man Battle Network? People are hyped about it, but I don't know what it is. So just a little bit of history. Mega Man Battle Network was developed by Capcom, first released in 2001 for the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, I know, Game Boy Advance, that goes pretty back. I hope people definitely need to know what a Game Boy is, because that was a pretty big thing at its time. But yes, for the Game Boy Advance, it was dubbed a data action RPG that pretty much combined elements of like a card battling system with action games. And it became a hit series that also spawned comic books and cartoons, spanning into 10 mainline games total. So just curious, did you ever see or ever hear about the actual cartoon that ever came out for the, for the game at all?
Oh, dude. When my fascination grew with this franchise, I followed everything. Mega Man, NT Warrior, Access, Stream, Beast, bro, everything.
Yes. No, it was good. It was a good show. I mean, I watched a little bit, but I think you agree with me. Like, I was definitely into the games, 100%. The games is where I just stuck into the most.
Yeah. Games is where it started. The extension of the fandom sort of branched out into the shows. Unfortunately, the shows didn't really manage to keep up in terms of the Western audience. They, after I think it was Mega Man Access, they sort of just stopped, and everything else after that sort of stayed on the Japanese side. So it was harder to follow along with the anime series, but still the games are what kept me going.
100%. All right, so cool. With that, we are going to go ahead, and before we actually jump into like talking about what this Legacy Collection is that got announced, real quick, before we continue, today's video is indeed sponsored. If you need to get your shave on, well, you need to check out Manscaped, and go ahead and check this out real quick.
Dude, I gotta be honest, I'm having a real tough time shaving my pubes lately. I'm talking, it's like a woolly mammoth down there. Like sheep's wool. Like I need some sheep shears to get through my man wool, man. I don't know what to do anymore. Okay, first off, you're gross. Second, why don't you just use Manscaped like everybody else? Manscaped? It's Manscaped. You're telling me that you don't know about the Lawnmower 4.0? No, I don't know about the Lawnmower 4.0 is one of the most magnificent things I've ever held in my hand. With its cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. Cutting edge. It's elegant, waterproof design so that I never have a messy bathroom floor ever again. Waterproof. And even a 400K LED spotlight in case I need the most precise shave. LED? You're telling me you don't have one of these? Come on, man. Finally. An answer to my prayers. Don't let this be all naught but lies. Manscaped for me is the true prize. No, no, it cannot be. It's just as he said. Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. Just for me. Never again shall my bush be out of control and so unruly. He will rise up with more so trimmed. Well turns the earth to rise to my friends. He will. I will fly free with my balls so clean. To you, my friend, Lawnmower 4.0, mine at last, mine at last.
Toon, on June 28th, Nintendo's Direct Mini Showcase, they did bless the world, especially our hearts, with this Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I'm going to go ahead and announce the games that are featured, again, 10 mainline games that are going to be in this Legacy Collection. It goes Mega Man Battle Network 1, 2, and then it was starting at 3, where they had like the two separate versions. They had blue, and then they had white that was for Mega Man Battle Network 3. And then for Mega Man Battle Network 4, they had Red Sun, Blue Moon, and then for 5, they had Team Proto Man and Team Colonel, which those are probably my favorite games. And then they had, for Network 6, they had Cybeast Gregor and then Cybeast Falter. And also with this, including in this collection, they're including brand new features. The first one is an art gallery mode. It's going to contain full illustrations, rare, never before seen rough draft designs, concept art, and they're saying that we're going to be able to get access to more than 1,000 pieces of art. They're also going to have a music player mode, and in here you're going to be able to listen to a total of 188 songs from the Mega Man Battle Network games. And they're also going to have the high resolution filter option. Basically, it's a filter that was used in the Mega Man X Legacy Collection that helps free the game of jaggy edges for pretty much like a different viewing alternative. It's totally optional, you don't got to use it. And then there's going to be a single physical volume So if you want to buy a physical, you're going to be able to get the whole collection in one. Or if you want to go to the digital route, keep in mind they are splitting, for whatever reason, the digital version of the game into 2 separate volumes. In volume 1, you're going to have access to the first game up into the 3rd game, and then in volume 2, you're going to have access to the 4th game up to the 6th game. Now, the release date is set right now for 2023 with no specific date yet, and it is releasing, like we said, on modern consoles. So Nintendo Switch, PS4, and of course on PS5, and then on Steam. So Toon, I just gave some of those details. I'm just curious, any of those new features, I mean, I know you kind of talked about like you like the fact that we're gonna get like, I think like kind of like a remaster to it, so like the high resolution filter mode, the art gallery music player, I mean, that's something you're gonna mess with, or it's kind of like it's just there, you don't really care too much for it?
Yeah, so for the high resolution stuff, I was exactly gonna chime in on the Mega Man X thing of it all, because they obviously had the same exact feature, which is a nice way to allow, you know, players to either experience it as it originally was or have a little bit more of a modern touch up to it, which is great. But since I am just a diehard Mega Man Battle Network fan, unlike a lot of different games where I don't particularly care too much about the artwork, here I'm actually really excited because I love seeing the various concepts that they had for all the different net navis, the original, you know, rough draft designs for certain characters. One of my favorite things about the GameCube intermittent game installment in the series, Mega Man Network Transmission, is during their load screens, they would show these really cool pieces of art that kind of like dive into the conceptual like manufacturing of these various navis. So I want to see what these guys were thinking of back when they were doing this. So I'm really excited for that. And the music is just nostalgia central. Like I'm going to be spamming through. I'm going to be spamming through all those tracks over and over and over and just singing along with them. There's going to be so much more for me than just the games, which says a lot, honestly. Like you wouldn't think for the normal average fan this might be a lot, but if you are a massive Mega Man Battle Network fan, all of this is going to keep you going that much further, and it's something I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, every point you nail it pretty much. I would honestly agree with the same thing. I mean, for me, it's just the simple fact that, like we just said, dude, just the fact that we can actually play this on modern consoles. And I think what's pretty cool too, Toon, is the fact that like it's not just Nintendo Switch. I mean, for people who have PlayStation, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever see the day where I might see those games on PlayStation, so that's kind of like a treat, which is pretty cool. You know, on PC too. So I think for me, at the end of the day, like the new features are going to be awesome. I'll definitely play with that high resolution filter on, probably check out the music player, a little bit art gallery, but I think I'm just honestly just happy for the fact that like we're going to get all the 10 games. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo pulled a Nintendo move, to be honest, and did like the first 2 games and then later the next 2 games. But the fact that like, hey, we're just going to be able to get all of it together, that's a blessing. That's all I gotta say.
I'm kind of confused as to like the logistics of this whole bundle 1, bundle 2 sort of situation, because I would have thought as a digital release, this would have been a whole lot easier to, you know, have everything together, but they're sparsing it out for the digital version, whereas the actual cartridge is having the entire thing release in one. Is that just because the physical copy is going to be releasing at a much later date? I don't quite understand the logistics of that whole
yeah, so like
schedule.
the details for again, there's like a lot of details right now are still pretty much like kind of bare bones. I'm guessing we're gonna get more information probably closer to 2023, or probably just in 2023. But it is interesting. I know some games or some collection of games, if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was isn't the other Mega Man games that are in collections, I think some of them are even broken up a bit. I thought, I could be totally wrong on that, but I don't know. I guess I've seen other kind of companies do that where they've dropped like digital, like the digital collections, but maybe split them up into different volumes. I think for me, the question will be, are they going to charge like the same price for both of them? Like, will it be like 60 and then 60? Because at that point, then that's just straight up robbery. That doesn't make any sense, you know? So I am kind of curious myself in terms of like pricing. How does that work? Because it is a weird thing that they're doing it, but yeah. I've definitely seen that done before with other like collections for other companies and whatnot. So it's a weird thing, you know? I'm trying to look at it as maybe, you know, I think Nintendo was publishing it, so maybe that's just a Nintendo thing. I have no freaking clue. But it wouldn't surprise me, so we'll definitely have to look into that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Also, what I'm very curious about is whether or not there's going to be any sort of multiplayer feature involved, because I don't know about you, but there's actually there's a big Mega Man Battle Network competitive scene that I've actually been paying attention to, and I've been watching from time and time again. People actually play each other with their various folders, and it's usually on Battle Network 6. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be any sort of networking element here where you can actually link up your account, your game, to another player, either via trade or perhaps you guys can battle. With Battle Network 3, I think that was the first in the series where you could start to do that. And then, of course, as you progress further,
Red Sun, Blue Moon, Team Proto Man, Colonel, all those different games, you can also do the same exact thing. I think that would be a misstep if they don't allow that to work. I'm really hoping that they can, but then again, I don't really know how much more that would add to, I don't know, the burden of compacting all of these different games into one collection.
Right. No, that's a good point. And that's actually a question I was going to bring up is like, could we see like the multiplayer component be a thing with this? But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I think, see, I don't have it in front of me, but I could have sworn I read that it like they just had it listed as like a single player thing, and they didn't really mention too much of like online stuff or any multiplayer stuff. I'm totally curious if how they're gonna implement it, if they do implement it. But I also won't be surprised if maybe it's just more of like you can trade chips or something like that. I mean, I've no clue to what extent they'll do with it.
Yeah.
But I think that is a pretty interesting thing, because I feel like something like this with multiplayer is such a, like, it would help it out a lot, because I think multiplayer is obviously like a big thing nowadays. So this is definitely something that I would like to see, of course, with the multiplayer with it. I'm going to shift up the conversation a bit. I'm curious, Toon, if these sell well, say they sell like 1 million copies, and now Capcom and Nintendo are looking at it like, there's interest.
Yes.
Maybe there's a new generation.
Yes.
You know, Toon? There's a new generation of kids. There's kids who are going to see this and be like, what the hell is this? I don't know about you, Toon, but as a kid, did you ever buy like, or obviously maybe not us buying it, but like our parents maybe, but like they used to sell like the actual like pets, like the actual like the toy. I don't know if you ever had one, but I had one. So like I was just thinking about that. Sorry, random thought, but like I had that. I don't know if you ever had anything like that before when you were like a kid for the game.
Unfortunately, I never got to, because most of my negotiating power was burned up trying to get these games. So I couldn't exactly bargain for much more.
Fair.
But I totally remember the mad dash to the toy stores that all my friends, they would go grab all these PETs and they would be, you know, like pretending to net battle. I think now with the, you know, the state of which the digital content distribution, how it is with mobile devices and all these different ways we can play games, I think that if there's enough popularity that's garnered from this installment of the series, they could potentially use this as a starting point for a new generation of Mega Man. They sort of try to do that with the Star Force series. After the Game Boy Advance, they try to move into the DS with more of a Star Force semi 3D kind of sort of aesthetic. Maybe they'll go into, you know, more in that direction. Maybe they'll continue with the Mega Man Battle Network series. But I think this is going to be a nice beta test to see if there's still a major market for this type of a game, not only with the older fans, but the newer ones too. And also with smartphones, there could totally be a thing in the future where there is a Mega Man Network transmission-esque gacha game or mobile game where you can use your devices sort of as PETs, you know, like everybody has a mobile device now. This is the perfect time. The whole futuristic vibe that Mega Man Battle Network brings, it's perfect for where we are right now.
So Toon, real quickly, staying on that topic, would you rather see, if it is successful and they do go back into the whole franchise, would you rather them see a remake of part 1 and take it that way, or do you think you'd rather see a sequel series? Something similar, I guess you could say, to the Star Force kind of thing, but keeping it still with like Lan, right? Yeah. Keeping it with Lan and Mega Man and that group of characters, Dex, Mayo, Yai. I mean, those are the goats. Okay, I don't know about the Star Force stuff, but like those are those are my friends. Those are the ones I grew up with.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Just curious, like, which would you rather see if it did happen, a remake or an actual just sequel?
I mean, call me selfish, but I would like for them to go in the direction that Pokemon kind of is now, where they do the remakes and they also bring in new installments to the series. Mega Man Battle Network 1 is a great game. The problem is when you compare Mega Man Battle Network 1 to some of the newer installments in the franchise, it's just not the same. Accessibility, convenience, speed. There's a lot of things that Mega Man Battle Network 1 doesn't simply have. It's just an unrefined product when compared to some of the more streamlined future games. So if they were to remake and sort of make some of those little adjustments in Battle Network 1, I would be all for that. But at the same time, it is a very niche game and maybe people aren't as receptive to it. Whereas if you also throw out a brand new installment of the game, Battle Network 7, Team Grass versus Team Fire, or whatever you want to call it, you know, like if they do something like that, it would then sort of incentivize players to sort of re-explore the older games while also jumping into a new saga of Mega Man with the same cast of characters that we know and love. So I think if I had to prioritize one or the other, I would probably say a new version, like a new game, but try to also do what Pokemon did with bringing back some remakes. Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm too selfish asking for both.
No, I mean, dude, I'm right there with you. I think I'd also like kind of just want to see more of like a sequel. I don't know if I'd want to see a remake. Give me an older Land, right? Give me an older group of like, let them be older. Let them grow up with us, because I feel like that's also kind of like a common trend that you see right now in different types of like media and whatnot. Yeah. So I'd like to see something like that personally. I mean, see how they kind of aged up and take it that way. I mean, that'd be a cool approach to it. Plus, I don't know, man. Everything nowadays is kind of going for like that open world, open free map, whatever you want to call it. Like they're just going for big games, and so A part of me would like to see something like a sequel where like we're going into the net and it is super big. It is super different. I mean, again, this is just wishful thinking. I would just love to see something like this, right? Imagine co-op, right? Going with your friend and doing like these battles and whatnot, taking out the datas and the enemies and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think I would agree and kind of just want to see more of like a sequel type thing. So
even at
that's where I would go with
even at the end of 6, they actually end the series on 6 with a final cutscene. You don't get to see either Lan or spoiler alert, Lan or Melu grow up and get married, but they have a daughter. So the series kind of ends with the daughter sort of like being the new Lan, if you will. They don't really go into much detail, but then Megaman is still there, and Megaman, what I would imagine, then become Lan and his daughter's NetNavi. So that could kind of be a way that they could go, sort of with the next generation sort of vibe, or they just sort of retcon that part and just keep going with the kid Lan.
Listen, Capcom, listen, we're giving you guys ideas. Like there's plenty of ways to take this. Okay, you got options. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have. I mean we knocked out the different stuff here. So, Toon, any last remarks? Anything you want to say for the Megaman Battle Network games before we conclude?
Yes, I do have a couple things to say. I have a lot of things to say, but I'm going to tone it down a little bit. As far as these 10 games being brought back, I'm so happy. If I were to be a little nitpicky, I was kind of hoping that if they ever did this, they would also bring in some of the games that the global audience never got to experience, like Mega Man 4.5, Battle Network 4.5, which was in between Sun and Proto Man. Also, there was a bit of a spin-off game with one of the characters in Battle Network 4. I think it was called, we were talking about it right before we started this, Mega Man Boat Kai or Django Boat Kai or something like that. I was kind of hoping that they would bring in some of those lesser known games into the fold. Also, there's Mega Man Battle Chip Challenge, but still bringing us the main line games. I could not be more thrilled. I just hope that in the future, if they do continue this, based on the reception, they can bring some of the more obscure games into the fold as well, because there is a healthy, sizable portion of Mega Man Battle Network fans who are dying for more stuff. And let's have a competitive Mega Man Battle Network scene, please. There is a fandom for it, and there is a need for it, so we want it. Give it.
100%. I mean, I literally have nothing to add to that, dude. That's probably the best way I would have ended it myself. I want to see this go well. So if I had to say one last thing, people, buy this game. Please buy for not just me and Toon, but buy for the rest of the Mega Man Battle Network fans that are out there, because we definitely want to see more with this series, have it come back. A lot of stuff is coming back nowadays, so like let this be another one that comes back so we can get more of it, because I would love to see more, especially like you said, Toon. I would love to see a multiplayer competitive side of this. I just want to see a multiplayer thing with this. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for today's Party Chat episode. Be sure to give us again your thoughts on the announcement of the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Share with us your stories of the series if you ever played it, or maybe you plan on jumping in. Well, let us know. With that, I am Jared, and again, we are joined today by Toonrami. We will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Take it easy.